My parents divorced 17 years ago after a 15-year marriage. There were long-standing allegations that my dad cheated on my mom, which my dad and stepmother strongly deny. My sister and I personally believe the allegations, but we've never said that to them and have always kept our opinions to ourselves. My dad got together with my stepmother almost immediately after the divorce. Over the years, my sister and I have maintained a mostly civil relationship with her, despite regularly biting our tongues over snide remarks. Things like how they could have afforded a bigger house if my dad didn't have to pay child support. Another recurring issue has been my sister's wedding. My stepmother has repeatedly complained that she felt mistreated because my mom and my grandparents chose not to speak to her at the wedding. Because of this, she claims she can't even put my sister's wedding photo up in their house. To be clear, there were around 100 guests at the wedding. She simply wasn't engaged by my mom's side of the family. Fast forward to today. We were discussing plans for my sister's upcoming 30th birthday. My dad commented that they probably wouldn't be able to sit at the same table as my mom and grandparents, since my mom would refuse and everyone wouldn't get on. This immediately set my stepmother off. She launched into a long, aggressive rant about how immature and ridiculous this all was, saying that normal families can talk to each other and move on. As she got more worked up, she once again brought up how hurt she was at the wedding and how excluded she felt. At this point, my sister and I calmly said we did not think the wedding experience had anything to do with whether a photo could be hung on the wall. I then said that I could explain the real reason she was ignored at the wedding, but that it would likely upset her. So I tried to leave the room to avoid escalating things. However, she continued yelling at my sister, so I came back and explained it anyway. From my mother's family's perspective, she was ignored because they believe she helped break up a family. That's when things completely exploded. She followed us outside to the driveway, screaming in our faces, shaking her finger inches from us, and yelling that she met my dad at a bar. Because he was always there due to how unhappy he was in his marriage, she became increasingly aggressive. And my dad stood there silently and did absolutely nothing to de-escalate the situation. We eventually left because we didn't feel safe staying. Since then, my dad hasn't checked to see if we okay or tried to discuss what happened. We later messaged him asking if he'd like to talk, and he declined, saying he wasn't in the right mental state. My mother, for the record, has no ill feelings and isn't hung up on the divorce. She simply doesn't want to make small talk with my stepmother. Yet my stepmother seems completely unable to move past it. So, AITA for telling her the truth, and essentially saying she is dealing with the consequences of how others perceive her role in the past.